it's Steph from Happy Place to Grow. I'm here in my classroom. It is a remote day for us, and fortunately or unfortunately, our remote days are coming to a close. We'll have two more after our spring break, and then our students are going to be back 5 days a week. Now, I'm glad they're going to come back. I think it's time for us to venture into a normal school schedule. However, I know it's going to take some getting used to, for sure. The students are going to have to work into that normal routine, and I am as well. But hey, I'm enjoying this, one of the few last remote days I have left before we go back to our 5-day schedule. And I am sitting here on the floor with a sea. You can't see, but I have a sea of March activities that I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to start with just a simple thing when I'm talking about St. Patrick's Day. I always like to give the history. I like to talk about the land of Ireland. And so I start with, I've got 2 scholastic newspapers that I take my students through. And this year too, I went also to the online version because for some reason I couldn't find my March folder, and these were located in the March folder. I did find it, of course. So I like to just talk to my students about Ireland and things that are in the land of Ireland. And then after we go through our scholastic news, then I have them color the land, the flag, and then write and draw their favorite fact. So I don't really like to go into, I love holidays, but I always want to share with my students why we celebrate them, what they're all about, and it really gives them a chance to explore other lands and find out about other cultures. So that's how I start. And then of course there's all kinds of great stories. My 2 favorite, well, my first favorite is Jamie O'Rourke and the Big Potato. I love this story. It's got a great lesson in it, and it's pretty funny as well. My students, and when I was reading it, they were just spellbound. They really liked it. And then this is a newer story, but I read this with my students, How to Catch a Leprechaun, and then we actually built leprechaun houses. And I have a little clip that I'm going to share in addition to this one, that is just focused on my students building those houses and then the aftermath. These are 2 sheets that I have used in the past. I didn't use them this year just because, you know, it's been such a different year. And this was actually the first group activity that I ventured into. But normally I have them form teams, and they usually select a leader. They write the team members' names, and then what supplies are you going to use to build your house or trap, explain how you will catch your leprechaun, and the team works together. There's one person writing and taking notes, and then the team is helping that person. And what are you going to do if you catch a leprechaun? And then finally the next day, the results, what actually happened. So this is what I normally do. Again, I did just a little cute abbreviated version of teamwork, which I shared with you in that little building houses segment that's going to be included with this. I also, when I'm thinking about Ireland and Irish fun, there are 3 experiments I love to do with my students, and I got these a couple of years ago, and I'm trying to see who I got them from because I got them so long ago. Andrea Knight, and the print is so tiny. Teacher, learner, author. I will link that in the description box. But anyway, I got these off of TPT, and there are 3 experiments. There's this one called Dancing Gold, where you put 2 cups of water, 2 cups, one with water and one with soda. And it's specifically a lemon lime soda. And then you use golden raisins. Now, I have done this several times with my students. There is a sheet that they fill out as a scientist, which I love this part because you're talking about science, and there's a science question. They make a prediction, and then it talks about the steps they have to do, and then after they do their experiment, they have to record the results and talk about it. So that's a really scientific process that I love. I've done the dancing gold a couple times, couple years. So the first time I did it, it worked. It worked like a charm. When I did it, I didn't do it last year because we had no school at this time last year. 2 years ago when I did it, it did not work, but I didn't use the lemon lime soda. So I thought, okay, this year I'm going to follow the directions. I got the Sprite. We did it, and there was a bubble, but the raisins are supposed to go up and down, like the carbon's supposed to take them up and down. Didn't work. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get, that was a 2-liter bottle. So I thought I'm going to get a canned soda because maybe there's more carbon in that. It was a bust, but it really helped us to realize that, when scientists are going through this process, they're going to have a question, they're going to test out, and then they might have to revamp and think about a different way to get their question answered. So I was thinking maybe the raisins were too heavy. I'm not really sure why it didn't work. However, so that was kind of a little bust for the kids, but we had fun watching and observing and just doing it. My favorite one is the Irish Spring. I'm going to put it in the microwave and see what happens. Irish Spring soap experiment, which is really fun. I really play it up. I'll say, we're going to put this soap in the microwave. I hope it doesn't explode, and they're just like really interested. But anyhow, we did this on Tuesday, yesterday. And again, it has the scientific process going on. You ask a question, you're predicting what you think might happen. And then this one uses 3 of the 5 senses, sense of sight, touch, and smell. So before you put the soap in, you observe, you touch, you smell, and then you draw a picture. And I love this chart too because before heating the soap, you weigh the soap, you observe the color, the shape, and the texture. So I love just the process of them really thinking about what happens before and then what happens after. And of course, I didn't bring a scale in from home, and then I thought about my little balance scale. And the kids were really excited because the quarter bar of soap actually did weigh more before it was heated. So this is the results. It was really warm when it came out, and I let them touch it and feel it. And of course, they were like, oh my gosh, it's squishy. So they were really excited. So that was really, really fun. I brought in a really old microwave because when you put it in the microwave, it's going to smell the microwave up with Irish Spring. So you might want to think about getting an old used one for this project. I mean, it eventually goes away, but you might smell it in there for a while. So anyway, we did that yesterday. That was really fun. There's another one that I've not done in a couple years. It's the magic ring, and you are supposed to do the rainbow colors, and then you have a little paper towel, and the color will soak into the towel and mix, and it's supposed to change the paper towels, and they can see how colors mix. I have done that once or twice. It works okay. It's not, sometimes it doesn't absorb all the way to the next color, and therefore you won't get that mixture. So I didn't do this one this year just for that reason. Again, it would be one that I would have to maybe tweak and play around with to get it to really be successful in mixing those colors. But anyhow, the Irish Spring Soap one is a must do. I also like to do this cute little art project. So I save milk cartons, and then I get my husband to help me, and we spray paint the cartons. And then I actually had this little pattern for years. My mentor, so I've been teaching 27 years. So my mentor many years ago gave me this little leprechaun boy, and they color it, and they put it together, and I have to give them the little legs. But so that's one of the ones that was put together, and I have to really work with this group because they were out last year. They didn't finish kindergarten. Their art skills, their cutting and gluing skills, we've had to really work on those. So this is actually supposed to be glued on the side so that the little coat, you know, has more chubbiness, but anyhow. And then the head would be able to be glued together here. So so this one put it together like that, but it worked. It's fine. But anyway, they love doing art, but we just have to really model for them. And I was in a rush and I didn't model that one, but that one's always fun. I like to do that. I also love for my students to go to a center and paint. So my centers are now open. This is actually going to be one that I do in my April centers. So they get to sponge paint a rainbow, but I could use this in March or April. It works for both. So I will be letting them paint the rainbow. Now let me close up with some fun math activities. So a couple years ago, I was lucky in a box of Lucky Charms to find this little Pop-O-Matic, and it's kind of hard to see because the little cube in there is tiny, but on this cube on each side is a Lucky Charms marshmallow shape, which is fun. So you pop it, and I created this little code. So if a star pops, it equals 5, the horseshoe equals 4, etc. And there's actually one more on there that I missed for some reason, so we had to draw it in. But anyway, we pop, and whatever pops in there, they create addition problems to solve. So what I did with them, it's a math center, a math tub, but this year I'm not doing math centers, math tubs with my students. So I popped under my document camera, and it came on up here, and then they wrote the equal whatever. If it was like a star horseshoe, they would write 5 + 4, and then after we popped them all out, then I let them on their own add them up. So that was a fun way to do a little math, and we actually did that on we did whole group math on St. Patrick's Day. We didn't do math groups. So if you're lucky enough to find a Pop-O-Matic like that, also I like to do pull out a lucky shape. So I've got some Lucky Charms marshmallows, if you please, that I drew. You know, I like to do where they pull out things and graph, but with the marshmallows with Lucky Charms, they kind of melt in their hands. So I just, a couple years ago, drew out some shapes, and then again, this would be a math center. So I had my TA do this with them, and they pulled out the shapes, and then each kid in the group then graphed the lucky shapes. You know, with the graph, we're talking about each box equals 1 shape, and they're filling in the box. And then on the back, I've got Lucky Charms graph questions, you know, so it says how many hearts, which charm had the most, which charm had the least, and you can get those math words in. And then compare. So I've got a question that says, how many more balloons than stars? And then the final question is, which charm is your favorite? So that's always a fun little activity. Again, these are normally centers, but this year we're doing it a little different. We're making math work in the year of the COVID. Another math center that I normally do is a Lucky Shamrock 3-digit roll. I was gonna say Lucky Charms 3-digit roll. So years ago I created these little mats, and this is one that you can do with regular dice that just have 6 sides, or you can grab those dice that have lots of sides and lots of different numbers, and they shake, they roll the 3 dice, and then they lay them on the mat, and then they add them up, and then they fill in these shamrocks with the roll that they rolled out, and they add them up. And with this activity, I really encourage my students to look for friends of 10, if they could make a 10, and because that's a strategy for adding 3 digits. Or also maybe you've got a twin, or maybe you've got two partners that go together really easy, like 4 plus 4, you know, that's 8, and then you can add that third number on. So we didn't just roll and add, we also kind of analyzed and looked for partners to add, the first 2 partners that would add together easily, so that third number that we were adding on could be added in quickly and easily, more efficiently. So that's always fun. Again, that's a center. That's not a center this year. My TA did that with my students. I've got 2 more little quick math activities. Now, years ago, again, I had this as a center. I created these little Leprechaun shoes. I had 5 of them. As I was searching through my math materials, I could only find 3. But that's fine, because what I did years ago was I actually traced the little shoes onto a paper, and they each can have their own shoe sheet. And they use paper clips to measure the sheets, and then record, measure the shoes, and then record on the sheet how many clips long. That could be a tongue twister for sure. And then again, always when I'm doing these activities, I like to have as we collect the data, then have a sheet where we're thinking about that information we just collected. Questions about the measurements. Which shoe is the shortest? Which shoe is the largest? How many clips more is shoe 4 than shoe 5? How many clips fewer is shoe 1 than shoe 2? If you add shoe 4 and 5 together, how many clips long would they be? So again, we're measuring, and then we're using the information to answer questions, to take it a little step further. So again, that would be a center. My TA will be, it's not an activity we've done yet, but they'll be doing it after Easter break when they come back. And then finally, we do a little fun activity with probability. So years ago, I'm not even sure where I found this. Maybe one of those mailbox magazines, I think. You know, those teacher magazines that we used to get years ago. Anyway, so this is the probability spinner. So the first thing I did, again, had my TA go over probability words with my students, and I printed some probability words, and I had her go over more likely and what that means and what that would look like. This one has most likely, it's certain to happen, equally likely, impossible, least likely, or less likely. So I had my TA go over those probability possibilities, and then I have this little sheet that I created a couple years ago, and they spin the spinner. they talk about the spinner and talk about what might probably happen. And I give them 20 spins. In 20 spins, they spin the spinner 20 times, and then we see how many times the spinner lands on certain spots. And then before they spin, they talk about what's probably going to happen. It's probably going to land here most often because why? It might be equally likely to land on these spaces because that's a lot of the board, but it's split in half, and then least likely probably. And then we spin. And again, I have a graph here first. I like to do the graph so they can see that they've got 20 spins. And then after they do their graph, again, they're going to answer questions. Well, actually, before they spin, it says predict which item the spinner will most likely stop on in 20 turns. So after they've gone over the vocabulary, predict which item the spinner is least likely to spin, and they talk about that. Predict which 2 items the spinner is equally likely to stop on in 20 spins. And then they do their spinning, and I've got a graph that they can graph for that. And I also had this down here where they could tally or just keep track of those 20 spins by doing tally marks and then adding them up. And then they talk about what the results were. And I like the graph on that because they can really see, did the spinner land most often on the shamrock? It should, but did it? And there's a lot of good, rich math discussion you can have if you're doing this probability spinner. So both of my math groups have been spinning to win with that activity. Well, that's a lot of Irish going on in this classroom. I've got a lot more I could share, but I'm going to close it up here now because I am getting ready to head out. I am going to go for a run. I try to run every day. It clears my head. And then it's Wednesday, so I'm going to be heading on to church. All right, until our next video and time together, as always, have a good one. Hey, it's Mrs. Davis from Happy Place to Grow, and it is the night before St. Patty's Day. Hey, I just wanted to take you around for just a quick minute and show you what my students have been working on today. We have been doing all things Leprechaun house building. Yes, we didn't want to trap our leprechauns. We wanted to build them a house, and my kids decided to use kindness. So that was their strategy for catching a leprechaun, or at least catching some gold or something. So what we did was we talked about things that leprechauns are attracted to and when they're most active. So I went over this little how to catch a leprechaun tip sheet with my students, and I actually got this off of scholastic.com. We have a subscription here at school, and so this was one of the activities that I was able to download. And they also included this planning sheet. So normally I have my students work in teams, and we go through and we talk about, I appoint a leader, and then we talk about the different things that you need to do when you're building your house, trap, whatever you're building, and what materials you're going to use. And so this was just a simpler thing that I pulled from Scholastic, and they just listed their materials after they built their houses. They drew a picture and then explained, how it was going to work. And I saw this year I didn't really appoint an official leader for each team. I had 4 teams I didn't appoint an official leader, but it was really funny because certain students just sort of filled that role naturally, and the other students just really followed that lead. They all worked together pretty well. They were very excited about being able to do this little project. So I did want to kind of just take you around and show you what the students did together. They worked in teams of 4 or 5, you know, and they were really excited. So this is, if I can get down here, this is house number 1. Again, they were really working on the kindness factor, so they left a bunch of notes. That team did. So let's scallywag over here. All right, there is number 2. Uh-oh, they're little Lucky Charms. I love you, Leprechaun. That's cute. All right, this is the next one. Sorry for all of the crazy walking here. Some shiny things available. And hey there. Okay, let's see if I can grab this. Hey there is some free gold in the house. That was cute. That was very cute. Okay, let's walk over to house. This is a fabulous one. It's very shiny. All right, there we go. All things leprechauns. So I will keep you posted and let you know exactly what happens tomorrow. So when I come in, we'll see if the students actually caught or catch a leprechaun, or maybe some really cool items. All things leprechauns. Okay, I will keep you posted on the events tomorrow, St. Patty's Day. And also I will share with you, I have a few more fun activities that we're going to be working on this week. We've got some dancing gold, and my favorite experiment with Irish Spring soap in the microwave. Yeah. All right. So until I'm back again with some more St. Patrick's Day fun activities, as always, have a good one. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm here at my classroom. I've arrived a little early because I wanted to see what the leprechauns left us. So I'm going to take you around and let you view the chaos and madness. All right, so here we go. We've got little house number 1. And my students, we've got some little gold here. My students wanted to be nice, and so they built houses, not traps. In this section, we've got a little golden shoe. Cute. They'll love that one. And a golden chair. And this is my favorite, a golden shoe with a little mini dollar. Of course, it's a leprechaun size, right? It's got to be. Of course, the desks are crazy. Sorry about that. And then finally, they had some kind of a party. I think they tried to use that as a hot tub. Who knows what they were doing. We've got some pieces of gold. And of course, on every student's desk, there is a situation. They also went bananas with my Dr. Seuss characters. Yeah. So it's going to be a really exciting time. You know, last year we were not able to be with our students. Some people still aren't, and I'm sad for you. I'm really happy that I'm here with my students. I can't wait to see their reactions. That is going to be priceless. Okay, one more thing I'm going to share with you. I saw this on Pinterest a couple years ago. And I decided, I haven't done it in several years, but I just thought this, you know, having not done anything last year with my students, I wanted to really experience the joys of this fun holiday that we missed last year. So this is called It's Your Lucky Day, because, you know, it's all about luck. So you put the students, I've got the students
names and pictures on these. And you pull one out, and everyone has the luck of the Irish on St. Patty's Day. And they get to select one little item from the lucky hat. So everyone is going to get an opportunity to pick something because it's their lucky day. And it wouldn't be St. Patrick's Day without golden candy. Oh, we've got a lot of fun adventures, and I'm so excited about this day. All right, well, I'm on to my adventures with my students. I hope you have a happy St. Patrick's Day. I'll be checking in with you some more this week to share with you some more fun activities I'm going to be doing with my students each day. All right, have a good one.